Backstage.
Hello everyone, Damien Gendron from Backstage Vancouver. Have our first interview here today. Joe Muster, up and coming guy.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We just did a shoot together, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
Yes, 2 weeks ago. Another one coming up on May 5th, next week.
If all goes well.
Can't change the weather, but you can try.
We were going to shoot today, but we weren't sure about the weather. And you know what? It wouldn't have worked, I don't think. It was sunny for a little while, and
I think it actually would have been okay, because we only needed to go till 4, but who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Crush. That's what it's called?
Yes.
When did you write that?
I wrote this actually a while ago, 2 terms ago in UBC, actually, as part of a creative writing course for screenwriting in my first year there. And then I ran with the script a little bit more, expanded it, got it revised by 1 billion people, and then I turned it into a real production.
You know, you lucked out. We had a great crew, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had a fantastic crew. We had everybody we really needed. Oh gosh, I'm not going to get into who everybody, but it was every once in a while you win, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I was really pleased with the way it turned out. The footage was great. This is the kind of thing that we at Backstage want to promote. We want to promote independent productions, homegrown stuff, and we need more. More people like you. So you're at UBC, right?
Yes, I'm at UBC right now.
First year just done?
First year, just finished it off. Still waiting for one more grade, but I should be an A student by the end of it.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. So
great. I mean, what can I say? I would like to see a mechanism here where we can promote this kind of activity. And what do you see from your perspective as a producer? You also write and direct, obviously, but primarily as a producer, what are your biggest, if you had to pick a couple, 2 or 3, what's your biggest challenge when you've got a project and you want to get it done and you're just thinking, oh, this is going to be a nightmare? What parts?
The biggest parts are, I would figure, obviously funding is a big problem, and then, but sound is a really big issue too. Just controlling the environment is a huge thing. To have a studio space to do that would be really nice. We didn't have that with this, but we had a couple of good interior locations to do so. Exterior is always just like a crapshoot. But yeah, to have a controlled environment, I think is the toughest thing, as well as just having people that stick around and want to be involved. And to get people involved, you have to give them something that they can't just do on their own. You know what I mean? You come to a place that has controlled environment and controlled variables, or you you hire professionals and spend a whole ton of money on stuff, and we just can't at this point. Yeah.
Although, if you had the money, it would be great.
Definitely. As soon as you get incorporated, you can start getting grants. But we are unincorporated so far.
Yeah, because there's a whole sort of underground industry here in Vancouver that a lot of people aren't aware of. And they pop up on places like Craigslist and what have you. If you had to pick one spot, was it word of mouth or did you use Craigslist?
I used Craigslist, but I also used word of mouth. I went around to different film schools and put up flyers around there and put up on bulletin boards and things like that. So I got my people from different places, but yeah, Craigslist was a good one actually.
Yeah,
you got everything from there, and you got a lot of wahoos on there, or people who flake out. But, 1 in maybe 5, 10 people that you get from there is going to be really good.
Well, like me.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Gendron here, DG.
Okay, so finding people that stick, definitely, and funding, you're thinking, are probably the 2 biggest challenges.
To get in. They're going to up the labor cost tax rebate to 40% from 8% that it is right now, that Christy Clark cut it to. So, I mean, once you get incorporated, and it's not that hard to do so. It's something like $1,500. I'm looking into it right now.
Well, hey, why don't we do a segment on that? Like,
sure.
You seem to be quite knowledgeable. I've spoken to a couple other people, too, that have said, well, I couldn't have even done this low budget without some sort of money coming in. And it just seems like an unobtainable thing to a lot of people. And would you return and do a segment on that?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay. I mean, because that's what ultimately we want to try and do here. People that have done this, that have got a bit of experience, we'd like to pass it on. There's got to be, I don't know how many people out there that are where you were maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and they're going, I'm being drawn to this. My heart's telling me to do it. I'm driven, but I haven't got a clue where to even start. You know, if you had to say one thing, just one thing, what would be the best advice for someone starting out?
Shut up and shoot. Don't talk about it. Go out and do it. Write a script that is doable. Revise it for a couple of people. And then just go out and do something about it instead of just talking about it the whole time. I have friends who have amazing camera gear, who have been sitting on their duffs for years just talking about how their first film is going to be amazing, but it's been 6 years since they've said that, and the gear's gathering dust in their apartment somewhere. Just go do it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Just give it.
Yeah, yeah.
Your first project might not be the greatest thing in the world, but it'll be something that you can work from.
Well, and stay tuned here, because we're going to have a lot of leads for people. You know, if I get a little bit more organized here in the next little while, we're going to have a bunch of information on the site, on our blog, for people to do exactly that, for you to get connected with the right people, for them to get connected to the right people, and get stuff done. That's the goal here. And I think that it's not going to take very long. There's so much talent here in Vancouver. It's amazing. You can't be in a better place, I think.
It's true. There's a wealth of talent here that is just not living up to their potential because they're afraid that they can't do it for whatever reason, or they're going to look stupid in front of people, or because they're going to be working with a crew, or because they haven't been to school for it, or whatever. All you need is a little tiny bit of training. Give yourself a crash course on it. There are enough books out there. You can figure it out. And just like maybe get some color-coded binders or something, and some fancy blazers, and maybe you'll find your way into a good production somewhere.
Do it. Do it. What's next? Quickly, what's next for Joe?
Big House Films, which is going to be incorporated this summer, is looking to do a documentary called Death of the Party. It's going to be great. It's going to be analyzing that period in an average house party with, say, a band or like live music, kegs, something like that, in Vancouver, in different parts of the area of the greater Vancouver area, between the period in the party where people just start to leave and it absolutely ends by like daylight kind of thing. So all the weird things that happen, comparing the different occurrences that happen, and just really an investigative approach via the scientific method. It's not going to be an experiment, too many variables for a real good control group. We're going to have some kind of control group, and we're going to use the scientific method to analyze the death of the party. And we're going to have, like, you know, a camera set up in the corner somewhere doing a time lapse of the entire evening, that kind of thing. Do interviews, have people doing stupid things, and then maybe cut away from those stupid things they're doing into like a claymation or a stop motion Lego animation or something like that. You know, make it fun for the people that are doing it. And
you're a little bit crazy, aren't you?
A little bit, but you have to be, I think. Nobody wants normal. Normal's been done.
Well, that's great. So again, the name of your production company?
Big House Films.
Big House Films. Let's remember that. And are you crewed up?
We are crewed up. We have a whole bunch of people now. I've got a couple of people to sub off if we need to. We've got a couple of good camera people with good equipment. We're looking to gather enough gear. That's our next big thing, is get incorporated and get all the gear we need so that we can just hire people and say, you just come and we'll supply the gear and everything. You just supply the talent. And then by that point, we'll get everything insured in terms of gear and people, and be incorporated and get government grants, and then we can pay our people. And it's not that hard. You just have to do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
We're going to say that a lot here. Do it. I agree. It's all, there's people out here that want to do this kind of work. There is a certain amount of money available. There's also this whole idea of crowdfunding and deferred payments that can be looked into. I'd like the whole thing to pick up again with the tax breaks and everything. Really, when it comes right down to it, it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful there too. So I'm a bit on the fence. Yeah, I want this to be a healthy environment for everyone. But I think if we were to take a bit more energy, concentrate on homegrown stuff, guys like you, we could get ourselves out of this problem.
DIY. My whole big thing is make the industry dependent on you. Don't be dependent on the industry. Like there are things like Indiegogo or Kickstarter, things like that. But that's really asking your friends to contribute to your production that you want to do. Say, hey, like, will you fund my art? And might be a nice thing for them to do. But you shouldn't expect that as the basis of all of your funding, I don't think. What I think is DIY, do it yourself. Have fundraisers that aren't just, people spend $20 for, a plate of pasta or something like that. Have them come out to like a nice night where they're thoroughly entertained for like $15 or something like that. You make maybe a few $100, have a few of those, then you got a couple of grand, and then put some of your own money into it because you believe in it. And then maybe you get a government assistance grant from somewhere or something like that. But yeah, don't rely on other people to do your project. Make your project doable and not incredibly expensive that it's impossible to do with a small budget. You can make a good 8-minute short film for under $4,000. You can make it for like $2,500 easily. You can make it for $200 or nothing if you really want to.
Script writing is important there.
Exactly.
Don't make something where you need a spaceship to land. That's going to cost a lot of money.
Exactly. And the two biggest cardinal sins of amateur filmmaking would be don't use kids, don't use animals.
Oh, you mean just like we just did?
Yeah, exactly. But it's possible if you do it right and if you have enough time. If you're going to use kids, have 3 times the amount of time for shooting, as well as the animals, and or just have effects dogs.
But when you do that, it makes you stand out because nobody wants to do that. So hopefully it'll pan out. You did get some great people after all.
They were perfect.
Yeah.
So Sophie, I wrote the role for, was this little 5-year-old that was just amazing, and Thomas McLenahan was the other one who's been on Once Upon a Time and,
he knows
Star Trek, Stargate Universe and Jello and Crayola commercials and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the other one's name is Sophie Lemonhammer, which kind of had me sold right off the bat. So
we will, as soon as it's edited and done, we will definitely be keeping track of this, and we'll have a link to wherever it's published eventually. So tell me a little bit about when did you first realize that this was the kind of career you wanted to get into? I mean, were you really young? Was it later on?
Yeah, no, it was really young. We started off by just doing parodies of the Super Dave sketches from, God, what was that show? It was Super Dave Osborne off of some other show, but he had his own show anyway. And then we started doing Mr. Bill parodies from Saturday Night Live, the little plasticine guy that gets crushed. And we thought those were hilarious. We called it Mr. Phil, and we were little kids, so we couldn't really come up with our own stuff, so we parodied things. But then we realized that modernism is a thing, and not everything has been done before. We got a little bit older and started doing weirder sort of Mexican crazy films. But then I got older and I ran away and I decided to try and become a rock star for a while, and then ran to the mountains, then tried to be a rock star again. Now I've come back to reality.
Reality. Yeah. Is it as good as it was when you left?
You know what? It's better because I have more perspective now.
Okay, good.
And you just you need experience for a solid vision for things. So don't worry about starting late. I'm 30. I just I went back to university at a very late age, and
why UBC?
Because it has a great reputation. Because it's got a really good film production course there that's been around for 40-some years, I believe, something like that. And they've got a good creative writing course there as well, which really helps with the film production and the pre-production and everything. So it's a great place to go. It might be a little bit pricier than some places, but I think it's worth the bucks.
Okay,
that's just me. I'll be paying it back forever. But.
You'll be paying it, yeah. Well, you never know. Things could happen.
Banks get robbed
in a big town like this. Anything can happen.
It's true.
Well, hey, let's do this again.
All right.
We will. I'm thinking certainly this whole segment on the funding and how that works. So study up.
I will.
And we're going to help some people out here.
For sure.
All right?
Sir.
Thanks for coming.
Damien, DG, nice to see you again.
See you later.
All right.